A very good evening. Welcome to Study Online. Myself, my name is Sagar, and this happens to be the day 2 demo class of the Java course. The day 1 class already it is present in the YouTube. Do go and watch it if you have not watched. Day 2, we are going to start off with the topic. In my last class, I have discussed about what do you mean by hardware, what do you mean by software, what are the types of software that are available. One happens to be the system software, and one more happens to be the application software. And what do you mean by a system software, and what do you mean by application software, and what are the examples for the system software, and what are the examples for the application software. All those things we have discussed. In this class, we are going to discuss how exactly if you write a program inside the computer what and all things will happen, and ultimately whatever you want, how the computer is going to process the things and how you are going to get the output on the screen. That is what we are going to discuss today. Computer is completely made up of a hardware devices. Have you ever think that how a computer can understand what you are trying to tell, and have you decided how the computer is going to give the exact output whatever you are expecting? In this class, we are going to see how a computer hardware devices is going to understand the programs, and it is going to process and going to provide the output which we want. In my last class itself, I have told the very important hardware components of any computer happens to be the microprocessor, along with that the memory devices that happens to be RAM and the hard disk. Along with that, input devices will be there, output devices will be there, but my complete focus for today's discussion happens to be the microprocessor, which happens to be the core of any computer, or I can call it as a boss of any computer. Why? Because whatever the activities that you are going to perform, so each and every activities that completely depend on the microprocessor that is present in your computer. So I'm going to represent the microprocessor like this. So this happens to be my microprocessor, and I would call him as the microprocessor. So I would tell it as this is my microprocessor. So let me reduce the font. This much is not required. Okay, this is my microprocessor, and this microprocessor, whatever you are seeing, let me type it again. So I would tell it as this happens to be the microprocessor. So whatever the microprocessor that you are seeing, this is made up of one type of technology. What is that, sir? The technology that has been used. The technology that has been used here happens to be this semiconductor technology. I would call it as semiconductor tech. This device, whatever you are seeing, maybe you'll be using the Intel microprocessor or AMD microprocessor, and with the different bits, 32-bit, 64-bit, and whatever may be the generation, but it is made up of the basically the semiconductor technology. Using the semiconductor, this particular device has been constructed. Whatever the activities that you're going to perform in the computer, if you want to listen to the song, if you want to play some games, if you want to watch some movies, if you want to make use of any social media applications, whatever the activities that you're going to perform, ultimately it is dependent on the processor that is present in your computer as well as in your mobile. Sir, why this, sir? Why this microprocessor is made up of semiconductor technology? Microprocessor is made up of semiconductor technology because it will give you the speed of execution. Any devices which made up of semiconductor technology will be have enough speed in order to process the things. Even though the microprocessor is the boss of the computer, but I would like to call it as sometimes it is a dumb device. Sir, why you are calling it as a dumb device, sir? I'm calling it as dumb device because it will understand only one thing, that happens to be voltage. It will understand even the plus 5 positive volts, or in other words, it is going to understand the 0 volts. If I speak about in the voltage, the computer background students will not understand. For that matter, students will feel difficulty. So when it comes to the programming, this is what we are going to call it as the positive volts. We are going to call it as ones, and the negative, that is 0 volts, we are going to call it as zeros. only the ones and zeros is what the microprocessor is going to understand. So whatever the input I am going to provide, I should be give it in this format only. So if I tell it as, suppose I want to give input for this microprocessor, and if I want to give the microprocessor the input should be present in the form of zeros and ones. If you give it in the form of zeros and ones, this device, whatever you are seeing, the component, it will understand, and quickly it is going to process the things, and it is going to give the output. So I would call this happens to be the output. If microprocessor want to understand something, you should speak in the same language what ear is going to understand. So microprocessor will understand what is going to understand only the zeros and ones. If you give it in the form of zeros and ones, you are going to get the proper output, otherwise you will not get the output. I want to speak with the computer now. I want to speak with the microprocessor. I want to give some set of instruction. Depending on the instruction, the microprocessor should understand whatever I'm trying to tell, and it should give the output which I'm expecting. So what the computer scientist, today we'll call him as a developers, and those days we are going to call them as the computer scientist. What this computer scientist have decided, okay, let us speak with the microprocessor with whatever the language that microprocessor will understand. You tell me, what is the language that microprocessor is going to understand? Exactly, it is going to understand the zeros and ones. So computer scientists also decided to speak with this microprocessor with zeros and ones only. Maybe say, suppose to tell it as hi, I'm going to use this code. It's just an assumption. For telling it as bye, I'm going to use this, like this. In the machine level language, they are going to speak. What's a machine level language? Yes, this is what we are going to call it as a machine level language. Sir, what do you mean by machine level language? Machine level language is nothing but a language which a computer machine or a microprocessor can understand. You tell me, what is the language that microprocessor will understand? Is nothing but zeros and ones, right? That is the reason this language itself, they named it as a machine level language. So I'm speaking about somewhere near the 1940s, 1940s and 1945s, where the first time so-called as microprocessor and electronically equipped computer, all those things were invented. So at that point of time, they have taken this so-called as machine level language. I would like to consider this machine level language, and I would tell it as this is my machine level language. Maybe I would write to like the machine level code itself, the same code I'll be typing. So 1010. See the difficulty. I have to see and type exactly. So I should not miss out any number here. And instead of one, if I tell it as zero, instead of zero, if I tell it as one, the meanings itself will change with respect to computer. So what I'm going to do, let me call this as the machine level language. So after calling this as machine level language, now I will give this as the input. So what I'll be doing, so I'm going to take this machine level language. So I'm going to take this as the machine level language, and I'm going to give it to the microprocessor. So I'm going to consider it here, and after which I'm going to take this machine level language, and I'm going to give it as input. So when I give it as input, the microprocessor is full happy. Why full happy? If I want to give the correlation, maybe you're going, you'll go gone for one trip, where whatever the language that you're going to speak, maybe Kannada, English, Telugu, Tamil, whatever maybe, if that people, if you don't find, you will be somewhat uncomfortable. In case if you get any person, who know your language, then immediately you'll be very happy, right? In the same way, so microprocessor also understands zeros and ones, and you're also giving the instructions in the form of zeros and ones. So immediately what will happen, you will understand what you are trying to tell, and you will process, and you're going to get the output. So once you are going to get the output, the computer scientists were also happy, the microprocessor is also happy. So everything was going fine, but writing the programs in this way in the machine level happens to be very, very difficult for the computer scientist of that era. Why, if you ask me, you only tell me, is that easy for remembering the numbers? Instead of 0, if you tell 1, instead of 1, if you tell 0, the whole purpose will change. And in case if you get some errors also, you cannot identify what is that error and what is the computer is trying to tell. See, if microprocessor is giving you some error, this is not right, and there is some problem, it will give you in the zeros and ones only, right? So by seeing that zeros and ones error, you will get completely shocked whether what are you trying to give to the microprocessor and what it is speaking with you. You will be completely gone mad, the computer scientist of that era, this is what the situation. Even though if they go and sleep in the night, in their night also, in the dream also, only zeros and ones, because it is not easy, guys. You try to type the same number, after erasing, you will only feel difficult. So that is the reason human brain is such a thing, we are incapable of remembering the numbers. So that is the reason what this computer scientists were decided is, they decided, rather than giving this machine level language, let us speak with the registers that is present in the motherboard. Or in other words, they came up with a new idea. What is that new idea, sir? If you ask me, the new idea itself, rather than coding the zeros and ones, why not we speak with respect to the mnemonics? Sir, what do you mean by mnemonics, sir? Mnemonics nothing but you are going to speak with the register format. Maybe I would tell it as move ah, comma cl. So what is this? If you ask me, this is nothing but a new type of language, not a machine level language, but it is a assembly level language. What is this assembly level language, sir? Assembly level language, you are going to speak in terms of registers. So I'm going to tell it as, this happens to be a certain code in order to speak with a microprocessor. So I'm going to tell, this happens to be the assembly level language, which after machine level language, the computer scientists were invented for programming purpose. And what is this is called as, sir? Zeros and ones, we are going to call it as binary. Maybe I would represent that as well here. So I would like to write it here, and let me type some text. I would call it as, if it is a zeros and ones, we are going to call it as binary. But whenever you are going to write the so-called as the assembly level language, this is not called as binary, guys. So the assembly level language code is what people are going to call it as mnemonics. I would repeat. So assembly level language code, whatever you are going to write, that code, people were calling it as mnemonics. Sir, what do you mean by this mnemonics, sir? Mnemonics is nothing but the words which have been used here in the assembly level language. That is what they were named it as, the mnemonics. Assembly language is somewhat comfortable for the computer scientist of that era when it compared with the machine level language. At least I can see the register's name. So what is this? MOV, AHCL, you move. So all those things, a little bit comfortable was there for the computer scientist. With the same idea, they went up to the microprocessor, and they were like, microprocessor, we came up with a new language, you please accept this. I would like to tell it as move ahcl, the same thing whatever that is present here, that is what I am trying to code it. Only one line is what I am going to consider. Maybe after which I would like to call these as the assembly level language. So once it is a assembly level language, yes, you know that whatever you are going to write, at the end you should give it to this boss of the computer, that is the microprocessor. So immediately, they have taken this assembly level language, and they try to give it to the microprocessor. When they try to give it to the microprocessor, immediately microprocessor scold like anything. Or in other words, microprocessor didn't understood itself what this fellow is trying to tell. Because you tell me the microprocessor will understand only zeros and ones, that is binary, but this fellow is giving some other different language. Assume that you people knows English language. If a person come to you and if he speak with you in the Japanese language, will you understand? 100% you will not understand. But at the same time, I can give you one more correlation. Say suppose for the on-site project, you went for the Japan, and you have to speak with Japanese language with the boss of the company. At that point of time, assume that you went for just 1 week. For 1 week, in order to interact with that person, will you learn the Japanese language? 100% no. So what are you going to do there? Instead of learning the Japanese language, whatever the idea that you want to convey, you will convey it in the English, but you are going to bring one translator in between. One translator fellow you are going to bring, the fellow who should be knowing both your language as well as the Japanese boss language. So in the same way, here also I'm going to bring one translator. Sir, what is this translator name? It is not called as translator, just I'm giving you assumption. But here, the software name only we are going to call it as assembler. Sir, what is this assembler, sir? What the translator is going to do for you? Translator is going to take whatever the input that you are going to provide, and after taking that input is going to process it. I mean to say, he will understand first. After understanding, he is going to convert to the Japanese language. Once he convert to the Japanese language, is going to tell to the Japanese boss, so that you will also happy, Japanese boss also happy. In the same way, if I want to correlate here, so assembler is a system software. Again, I'll tell, because in my previous videos, I have spoken about so-called as assembler. What is system software? I have spoken in my last class. So assembler is a system software which will take the assembly level language as input and convert into the, what type of language, you tell me? Yes, it is going to convert into the machine level language. It's going to convert into the machine level language. Once it is converted into the machine level language, you can give it as an input, and immediately the microprocessor will understand it, and you're going to get the output. This is the era where somewhere around 1950s, the first ever the assembly level languages were introduced, and the computer scientists were somewhat they felt comfort, rather than writing the programs in the machine level language, that is binary zeros and ones, they can write it in some assembly level language. Compared to this, don't you feel that this is somewhat comfort for the programmers? But we human beings, we are never satisfied with the things. So as the days progress, by 1960s as well, they came up with a new idea. Sir, what is that new idea, sir? They told, I don't want to remember this mnemonics and all, so it is very difficult for me to remember. So what they told, instead of this, I want to speak with the microprocessor, however I am speaking with my friend. If you're speaking with your friend, or if you're speaking with your mom and dad, how you're going to speak? Whatever the language comes to you, easily are going to speak, right? In the same way here also, whatever the language comes to our mind, in the easiest way we should be speaking. In the same way, they have to do the programming as well. So if I want to print something, I should be telling it as print. Why I should be telling 100101001? Or instead of telling it as print, why I should tell move AHCL 89, something like that? So if I want to check some condition, I should tell it as if. If I want to, if the condition is fails, I should tell it as else, what to do. So I should be telling it in this way. That means, however you are going to speak in the day-to-day life, in the same way now you are supposed to code. That is what the expectation of the computer scientist of that era. So immediately what they did, okay, by seeing this print, by seeing this if, by seeing this else, are you understanding the meaning of it? 1001 means nothing, you have understood. Move AHCL, that MOV, nothing you have understood. But by seeing this, immediately you are understanding the meanings and feelings. Then such type of languages only we are going to call it as high level language. What is high level language? If you can directly understand the meaning as well as the feeling of that particular words, then we are going to call such language as high level language. Now immediately what happened, they have taken this so-called as high level language, and after taking that high level language, they are going to speak with a microprocessor. Now the same thing I'll be telling you, print, you check the condition, if it is working fine, else what to do, all those things I'm telling. So at the same time, I would like to tell it as this is my high level language. So once the high level language is there, can I directly give it to the microprocessor? Maybe 10 years before itself they have understood that rather than zeros and ones, so whatever the language you are going to provide for the microprocessor, that fellow will not understand. So the 10 years back itself they have bought a assembler, that is a translator in between, to change the language. Here also we required one translator, yes or no? Here also we are going to bring one translator. Who is the translator, sir? If you ask me, see, already I'm getting some of the answers. The answers happens to be yes, yes, correct. This is nothing but compiler. This everyone will be knowing, sir. Compiler, sir, maybe in college days I have heard this compiler, interpreter, all those things. Each and everything in this course I am going to discuss, don't worry on that. Maybe compiler is a software which is going to take the input as the high level language, and it is going to convert into the corresponded machine level language. I'm going to take the input from this compiler. After taking from this compiler, I'm going to, let me give this as the input. So I'm giving it as input. Compiler, it will quickly work, but we human beings are relatively slow when compared to the computer, any which ways. So compiler is going to convert into the machine level language, and if I give it as input, so immediately it is going to process and I'm going to get the output. Is it clear for everyone? This is somewhere around mission level language in the 1940s. The computer scientists were coding, and it is the assembly level language somewhere in 1950s. And when it comes to the high level language from 1960s onwards, all the programming languages that has been originated happens to be the high level language. Then immediately one question will comes to your mind, sir. Then can you give me some example for the assembly level language? Sir, can you give me some example for the high level language? Sir, which one is the first high level language, sir? So all those questions, the answers I'm going to give in today's class. So keep listening. Before that, if you're attending the classes, I wish you to keep a separate notes for this Java classes, because each and everything is very very important in my class. It may be a basic or the advanced concepts, you should be knowing a topic from the scratch. That is the reason everything I will try to convert into a diagrammatic representation, and it will be helpful for you to revise. So today happens to be the day two, the demo class. Yeah, if you are feeling that no, let me see some 3 4 classes, after that only I will keep some notes, it's up to you. But let me tell you this: learn from the scratch, have that focus, have some concentration, and do learn in the right way. That is what I can tell. Maybe for this particular class, you can take this screenshot quickly. If you're done with the screenshot, do react in the chat box. Fine. So if you're done with this, let me continue with the next one. Okay. Few people are asking, sir, can we use the symbol as well? Yes, 100%. You can also use the symbols in the high level language. You can tell it as plus, minus, all those things. You can use it in the high level language. Quickly go to the notepad and I'll give some definition for it. You can copy it down. So let us go to the notepad and let us type like this. Let us come back. Now let us take some of the definitions here. So I would like to call this happens to be the day two of Java class. So I would write it as day two of the Java class. So in the day two of the Java class, we were discussing about the machine level language is what I want to give the definition. Let me tell it as it is nothing but zeros and ones. We will we will call it as binary language. It is machine dependent. So what is this, new words and all you're telling? What do you mean by this machine dependent? If you ask me, if you want to understand what is this machine dependent, what is actually platform dependent, platform independent, all those things, then you should be watching my upcoming videos. So let me continue with the softwares that are available. So I would like to take the assembler. So what is the assembler? So it is a system software. I would like to tell it as it is a system software which will take what as input. It will take assembly level language as input and gives what it will gives, it will gives, yes, machine level language as output. So that is the duty of the assembler, and it happens to be a system software. So in the same way, if I want to speak about the compiler, so for the compiler also the same definition holds good. Only few changes I should be doing, I'll do it here, watch it now. So I'm going to ask, what do you mean by the compiler? So I would tell it as it is a system software which will take what type of input it is going to take. It is going to take the human understandable language that happens to be the high level language as input, and gives corresponding, or it is going to give the machine level language as the output. And this is what the definition with respect to the assembler as well as the compiler. So what do you mean by compilation? What do you mean by interpretation? All those questions, if it's running in your mind, that's good. Maybe all those things in the upcoming classes I'm going to teach. So keep watching our upcoming videos. So let us move on to our screen. So let me go back to the screen now. If you are thinking, sir, tell me what is the example for the assembly level language, and if you are thinking, sir, tell me which is the high level programming language that was first time compiled. So all those things, the answer now I'll be giving. Maybe let me consider a programming language now with respect to the chronological order. So I'm going to consider this one. So, and let me tell it as this happens to be the regional assembly language. So this is what happens to be the first ever assembly level language. So what is the time span? If you ask me, the time span happens to be in the 1951. That is what I was trying to tell in the previous diagram. In the 1940s and all, it was the machine level language binary code. After that, in the 1950s, it was like assembly level language the computer scientists were using, and this was the regional assembly level language. And if you ask me, sir, who is the what type of softwares they were using in order to execute the program? You know that it is assembler. And after that, maybe let me show you some example for that, the image format, so that you will understand it in a better way. So let me go to that. So you can see here, this happens to be the machine assembly level language. So that is what I was trying to tell. So can you see it here? C010 zombie 680 inch. So many things will be there. So like this, they were coding this particular part. You can watch it here. This particular part. So they were using for the coding part. This is what the assembly level language actually looks like. So let me get back to the screen now. So I'll go back to the screen. So they were completely frustrated with this, sir. What is this assembly level language? How to code in this, sir? It's very difficult. So then they came up with one more idea. So what is that one more idea? If you ask me, I would like to represent like this. Maybe I'm going to consider this box next year. So I'm going to take next to this assembly level language. I'm going to type this happens to be the Fortran programming language, and which was invented by a fellow who was working in the IBM company. So I'm going to tell it as Jan Beckes. So he is the fellow who has invented the Fortran programming language. In which year, if you ask me, so this happens to be in the 1957. So has invented the Fortran programming language. Sir, what type of language is this? 100% this is the high level language. This is the first ever compiled high level programming language. If you want to compile, so this happens to be the high level programming language, right? The first ever the compiled programming language happens to be this Fortran. So I would like to give some credits for this, and I'm going to type it as the first ever or I would simply write it as first compiled high level high level programming language. I'll be writing it in the short form, don't mind. So I would write to like this. So this ever the first ever compiled high level language that happens to be Fortran. You can see the difference of years here. So in the 6 years, they were completely frustrated every day going and writing in the assembly level language. So they were completely fed up with that, and they created this so-called as the Fortran. And after which, it is all the high level languages which came in the chronological order. Let us see one by one in today's class. Let me show you some images as well, so that you will appreciate the things. So let me share you this. Watch it now. So this is the logo of the Fortran language for the first time when it was released. So after the Fortran, so he's the fellow Mr. John Backus, who was working in the IBM company, and he gave the idea about this Fortran and he's created that. Any which ways, we'll get back to our screen, and let us see what are the other programming languages which came up in the race. So after Fortran, maybe I would like to consider the one more programming language which came to the market. So let me consider this happens to be the next one. So I would write it as BCPL. This is the programming language which came to the market. Who invented this? If you ask me, so it is nothing but Martin Richards. I would write to like it as Martin Richards is the one who invented this BCPL language. So there are so many interesting facts about this BCPL language. Let us see what are those the interesting facts. In the 1967, so is what this language has been introduced. That is the one thing, and along with that, many interesting facts are there with respect to this language. Sir, what are those interesting facts? If you ask me, now observe carefully. Let me ask a question for our students. Do you know which is the first language which they have used curly braces? The first ever programming language that any student is going to learn happens to be the C programming language. They will tell, sir, in the C programming language, somewhere I have seen the curly braces. A few people will tell, no, 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 in the Java programming language I have seen. Few people will tell, no, in some other language, C++ I have seen. But the first time, in the history of the programming languages, the curly braces were used in this programming language that happens to be BCPL. And what are the advantages? If you ask me, one more very very important interesting fact about this language happens to be first time, someone has written this hello world. Yes, whatever may be the programming language, any programmer, if you want to study the programming language, the first program that is going to type happens to be the hello world. C programming language also hello world. Java programming language also hello world. C++ also same story. Python also same story. Whatever the program you are going to write, the first ever programming language, at least people, they will not write their own names. They will write hello world, because it has become some superstition in the programming community. If you write your first program as hello world, so it is like a good luck, or maybe you will get a very good job, something like that. It's a belief. So everyone is going to write the hello world. But for the first time in this programming language, this fellow has written this program called as hello world. Some more interesting facts are there. First time he introduced something called as data type. So what do you mean by data type? If you ask me, this is not the right time. Maybe when I take up the data type concepts in the Java, there I'll explain exactly what is data type all about. So now if I want to tell, it is the type given to the data. Sir, what do you mean by that? That's what I'm telling. So watch my upcoming videos. So in that you will understand what is exactly data type is all about. One data type is given in this language that happens to be the word data type. So apart from this word data type, there are no more data type that is present. And along with that, this programming language was consuming more memory. Sir, what do you mean by this more memory? So you cannot type n number of programs like other programming language. One or two or three programs if you write, immediately you used to get a message called as the memory fill, something like that. So this was not providing the sufficient memory for the programmers. So what are the interesting facts about this programming language if you ask me? Curly braces, first time it was introduced. Hello world, the first program has been written. So only one data type is there. It is somewhat disadvantage. So I would like to consider this happens to be the disadvantage. And the memory, it was not giving more memory. So I cannot, I can tell it as, if I tell it as more memory, the meaning will change. Let me tell it as this has provided maybe less memory given. So this is what I can write it. Maybe entire sentence if I want to write. Here there is no space. So many other programming languages is to come. Okay, any which ways, I am going to connect the dots here from the Fortran language. So after that, it was the BCPL, so which was created by Martin Richards. The one more interesting fact in this era, so if I want to tell, let me take up this one. So let me call here, and let me consider. Okay, I'll take a remark here to represent. So let me consider this. So, and let me consider a text here. So before typing the word, I want to ask you something. So can you tell me which is the first ever object oriented programming language? Can you respond me, what is the first ever object oriented programming language? Yes, I know. Majority of them will tell C++ because the first language that you have seen happens to be the C programming language. After C only C++ will come. So what, according to your mind, okay, C is structured programming language, C++ is the first ever object-oriented programming language because C++ got that much of popularity. I am not blaming you people. C++ got that much of popularity, so everyone knows that that was the first object-oriented programming language. But the first ever object-oriented programming language happens to be Simula. Sir, what is this, sir? Simula. Simula happens to be the first ever programming language, which was invented in the year 1962. I would consider the year here. So I'm going to tell it as in the 1962. Let me reduce the font. This much is not required. Okay, in the year 1962, this language has been created. So what is the speciality about this Simula language? As I told, let me type it here. So this happens to be the first ever object-oriented programming language. I would tell first object-oriented programming language. As I told, I would write to like this programming language. In the short form, I'll be writing it, don't mind. So let me keep it here. So this is my first ever object oriented programming language. See, in the journey, so many people keep on working on the new programming languages depending on the requirements of that particular era. Now let us quickly see the images of this so that it would remember in your mind. So this is the language, the Simula, so which was developed in the 1962, the object-oriented programming language. But due to maybe that year, the 1960s somewhere, so it didn't get that much popularity. But the ideas of object orientations was given from this language in the beginning. Not only that, this was the BCPL programming language, and is the fellow Martin Richard, somewhat looking smart, the old fellow, but looking good. So he's the Martin Richard who's invented the BCPL programming language. Let us get back to our screen and continue the discussion. Okay. So after this, the next programming language happens to be from here onwards, the people were looking back the present programming language, and they try to look the limitations of the programming language. To overcome that limitation, they were producing the new programming language. So here the disadvantage, if you look at it carefully, the disadvantage of the BCPL happens to be, so this is not providing the sufficient memory. So that fellow has kept a name called as B. Who is that fellow? If you ask me, he is only our Ken Thompson. So this fellow was carefully observing this, and he kept the name as B. Why the name as B? Maybe I'll be telling now. So I'm going to tell it as this is 1969. In the 2 years, quickly he developed a programming language and he has released. So in this programming language, you can type so many programs, not a issue. Compared to BCPL, you can type a number of program. So here I can tell it as memory supported well. So let me change here. Okay. So after which, to show to the world that is programming language is supporting the memory, so first ever the recursion program is written. Sir, what do you mean by this recursion program, sir? Recursion program is nothing but if a function call itself again and again, or if a method call itself again and again multiple times, that is what we are going to call it as a recursion. Okay, in simple English, I will tell. I don't want to go to programmatic in the beginning itself. So it will be like if you're doing a task, the similar task again and again and again multiple times, that is what we are going to call it as a recursion, the repetitive task. So he has written the first ever recursion program in this language. And these are the advantages to showcase that this B language is giving the supporting the memory, but this language also have some limitation that happens to be, so this language has no data type at all. So at least this fellow has given one data type. So but this programming language called as B language has not given any data type. So if there is no data type, maybe when I actually start the class, when I do the data types in the Java, then you will be understanding what is the importance of the data type in the programming language. Any which ways, so these are the advantages I can take. Okay, memory was separated and the recursion program was written, that is fine, but the very big disadvantage happens to be, so it has no data type. And if you see the naming convention also, so BCPL, it was occupying more memory, and B, it is taking the less memory. That was the intention behind naming this programming language, and immediately kept the B. So BCPL, when it is in the market, when B comes, gradually it will get the name will spread around the market and people is going to buy. That was the intention behind keeping the name for this. So anyways, I'll give the connectivity from the BCPL to the B language. So not only that, so quickly let us go and see. So what is this B language and who is this Ken Thompson? He is our Martin Richard from the BCPL. This happens to be the B language. Just I'm taking one logo here to represent B programming language, and this fellow is the Ken Thompson. Now don't come to conclusion, sir. We see, sir, exactly looking my like uncle. Yes, somewhat. He looked like a relative person, but he's second Thompson who invented the B programming language. So, anyways, let us continue with our discussion. Let me go back to my screen and let us continue with the discussion now. One more fellow, was carefully observing all the limitation and how this Ken Thompson is working, all those things. I was observing the friend of Ken Thompson, and he was ready with the new programming language, which was overcoming so all the disadvantages which is present in so-called as the B language. Maybe I would like to take the year first, and I would write to tell it as maybe this is in the 1972. Guys, I want you to notice the years here, because if you want to create a programming language on your own with new ideas, it will take more time. But if you want to create a programming language to overcome the disadvantages of the previous programming language, you will have a ready idea so that you can work on the ready idea. And this fellow also started work on the ready idea, and the language name happens to be C programming language. And I need not to tell the name, already students are commenting that, sir, Dennis Ritchie, Dennis Ritchie. Many of them, they'll be don't know their actual grandfather's name, but they will be knowing this fellow's name that happens to be the Dennis Ritchie. Dennis Ritchie is why very famous because not about the C programming language, because of the student community itself. When you join the engineering college, you see that C programming is there, and you went to the library and you asked that librarian, bro, give me a best book to learn the C programming language. That fellow has given one book, ANSI, and under that you are having something called as Let Us See. You also like, oh, let us see, it seems, let me see, like that you open the book. After opening the book, rest is history. Because once you open the book, completely gabrified. Hash include stdio.h, hash include conavo.h, hash include mathavo.h, printf, it seems, scanf, so many things, by seeing that completely gabrified. And many of them, the non-computer science background students, they have decided like this is the last time I am going to by heart programs, and somehow I'm going to clear the lab part. Maybe after that only my core branch, maybe mechanical, electrical, civil, whatever it may be. So I'm going to my core branch, I'm never going to touch the programming. And if you are from the non-technical, I mean to say non-computer science background, don't feel bad. Again, all the non-technical, I mean, sorry, again I'm telling the same thing. All the non-computer science students, they are entering to the IT company itself, and now they are doing the programming itself. Any which ways, let us come back to the programming one. I will try to give the connection between these two fellows, that is B and C, Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie. Some of the interesting facts, if I want to tell, even today in the 2020 September month, it is still present in the number one place. Previously, it was Java present in the first place, and from the day one, the C programming language is present in the first place. Why? Because this has supported something called as data type for the first time in the programming community. Data type, it has been provided. Not only that, it has supported the data type. I would try to write it as data type is supported, and it has given the option for the users to create the user defined data types. That is the biggest advantage here. And this one happens to be the structured programming language. Sir, what do you mean by this structured programming language? If you ask me, I would like to write it as structured programming language. All the previous languages were procedure oriented language. They used to write it like a essay. But what is this structured programming language? First time they got one structure to write the program, how you should begin, how you should end, all those things, Maybe in detail about the difference between the structured programming language and what do you mean by object oriented programming language, I'll be discussing in my upcoming classes. But as of now, just use listen here. So it is a structured programming language. That is one of the biggest advantage of the C programming language. Even today, it is standing in the first place because it's a speed of execution. That is the main reason it is still standing in the first place. Not only that, why C lost in a race in between, I mean, in between. Today also it is there in the race, but in between, the limitations of the C programming language happens to be they completely focus on the speed of execution. They forget the data security. Data was not secured. If you want to understand what is this data security and all about, I told just wait for the difference between the structured programming language and object oriented programming language. There I'll be speaking about this, what is data security and all those things. And not only that, it was not providing the code reusability. So what is this code reusability? So this also I'm going to speak in the upcoming classes. So in one word, I cannot tell what is exactly the code reusability, all those things. Whatever the code you are going to write it once, you cannot use it again. Again, you have to rewrite it in the same program. That is what reusability of a code. See, that is what I have told. So I'm going to explain you in detail in the upcoming classes. Any which ways, these are the few points with respect to the C programming language. Let us consider the so-called as the advantages. I would write to tell the things. This happens to be the advantage with respect to the C programming language. It supported the data structure, the data type, and it is a structured programming language. Speed of execution was there, but no data security, no code reusability. These are the limitations with respect to the C programming language. Quickly, we'll be seeing that programming language as well as the programmer. So he is our Ken Thompson of the B language. So this is the logo, the C programming language, and he is that fellow. Maybe many of them I have not seen who is the John Backus and Martin Richards and Ken Thompson and all those people, but everyone already saw the Dennis Ritchie. To that extent, this fellow was famous. Let us get back to our discussion, because using the C programming language, he became so rich. Now, by learning the programming language and becoming the developers, so we should earn some money. Anyways, I'll continue with the upcoming programming language. After this, when the programming languages evolved, like this high level programming language, that to structured programming language, everyone started to write so much of programs. When everyone started to write this so much of programs, in yesterday class only I have told, whenever you write something, everything is a data in the computer. When you have so much of data, what will happen? You require something called as a database in order to manage all those data. If you don't have a database, it will be very very difficult to store, or in order to handle the memory. So that is the reason, in this flow itself, in the year 1978, in the year 1978, the first ever query language also came to the market. Sir, what is this query language, sir? This also many of them have learned in their college days in the engineering. I would write to like it as SQL. Let me change the font and the color of this. Let us highlight this. So what is this SQL? So as I told, this is not a programming language, rather than this is a query language. Sir, what do you mean by query language? If you are going to store the data in the database, you require some procedure. You have to store the data. After storing the data, whenever you want to take out the data from the database. That is what we are going to call it as retrieving the data. So for all those tasks, to handle the database, we required a query language. So we are going to tell it as this is nothing but the structured query. I would write to like as structured query language. So why it is called as query? Because you are going to question to the database. Database is that the data is present or not. You're questioning. So if the data is present, it will tell it is present. If not, it will tell, though, so sorry, the data is not present. So query means inquiry. You're going to inquire. You're going to tell the query for the database. Is it clear for everyone? So there was a structured programming languages at that point of time. So in the same way, there was a structured query language which came to the market in the 1978. So let us continue with our journey from 1978. Uh, After seeing the C programming language, one fellow was got a new idea. So what is that new idea? Now I am going to tell. Next programming language that came into the market. I am taking only the prominent programming languages which has changed the IT sector. So apart from this programming languages, whatever I am writing now, there are other programming languages as well in the history of the programming language. But I am taking only the prominent programming language which changes the thinking of the programming community. So I'm going to tell it as C++. Many of them thought that it is a brother of the C programming language. It's There is no correlation between the C++. It is created by Dennis Ritchie, and this has been created by the Janis Strustrup. So I'm going to tell his name as Jani Strustrup. See this names and all, it's very difficult to type it and pronounce it. Assume that these programming languages were created by our Indians. The name will be like Sachin, Rahul, Virat, maybe Anil. Very very simplest names. So it was somewhat very difficult, different names, any which ways. If you develop something, maybe your names also maybe come in the internet like this one day. Anyways, assumption. Let me continue with the discussion. So what are the advantages with respect to the C programming language? Some interesting facts about the C programming language. C++ programming language happens to be, this fellow taken an idea from the C programming language as well as the first ever object-oriented programming language, that is Simula. He has taken the idea from both the language, that is C and Simula, and he has created a programming language, and people used to call it as it is a C programming language only, and with the classes. That is what people was taken it as in the first time when he has released. So it is C and Simula give you the C++, the idea, and the C and the classes were included. So I can call it as this is the object oriented programming language. Not only that, so many special features are given in this language, that happens to be it supported so-called as data type. So which was previously also I had seen what is the importance of the data type. The programming community already seen what is the importance of the data type. Not only that, he has provided many features like encapsulation, and along with that the polymorphism. So polymorphism, and not only that, he had given one more special feature, inheritance. So what is this encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance, all those things, these are things which is used to provide the data security, and encapsulation and all those things is used for to provide the data security, and inheritance and these polymorphisms, all those things are used in order to provide the code reusability. So if you make use of encapsulation, you can bind the data. If you make use of inheritance, you can make use of the code which is already written. So in detail, if I want to speak about this, that is what I'll be doing with respect to the Java. Java is also an object-oriented programming language, in that we have all these features: encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance. People will call these three things as the pillar of any object-oriented programming language: encapsulation, polymorphism, and inheritance. Let me continue with the next point. But there was a few limitations of this. There was no 100% data security. So why there is no 100% data security here? Because data security was there, but not to the 100%. Why, if you ask me, the simple reason, it has taken a few features from the C programming languages like pointers and some of the other things that they have taken. So it is not able to give the 100% data security. Not only that, the very the biggest disadvantage of that time. So it was not a disadvantage of that time, but later, due to the situation, the global situation, this feature has become a disadvantage for the C++. I would like to tell it as this is platform dependent. The platform dependent happens to be the biggest disadvantage of the C programming language. Hence, it's lost its race in the market. Otherwise, all the other features, the for the first time a language is given and the people were using it. But something has happened in the 1990s. So that is the reason, the C++ lost its race. So let us quickly tell the advantages and disadvantages. So I would like to give some tick marks here. So I would tell this is C and Simula. So it's C and classes. First time the object orientation, and it's the object oriented programming language. Data type is supported. Encapsulation is there. Polymorphism is there. Inheritance is there. What is all these things? Do attend my Java classes. You'll come to know that. And there is no 100% data security. Why also I'll be telling in the upcoming classes. And it's a platform dependent. Sir, what do you mean by platform dependent? I'm not understanding. If this is your question, again I'm telling. So what do you mean by platform dependent? What do you mean by platform independent? How C++ is a platform dependent? So all those things I'm going to explain in my upcoming classes. Now listen carefully. The journey was going on. Maybe let me show you this person details also, because after seeing Dennis Ritchie, I told you that in the 1978 the structured query language first time it came to the market with respect to the database. And this is the C++ programming language logo, and he is the creator of the C++ programming language, the Janis Trustrup. So he has created, he has given almost all the features of the object orientation, but one feature, the platform dependency, made this language to lose its race in the market. So any which ways, we'll continue with the things. So let me go further and let me introduce a few other programming language which was present in that era. Maybe I would like to consider like this. Maybe in this journey, I want to consider one more programming language which is standing in the third position in the ranking. So which is that programming language? If you ask me, that is nothing but the booming programming language. Wherever you go, the people will tell this programming language name. Many of them are already answering that. That happens to be the Python programming language. So I would like to tell it as this happens to be the Python programming language. So Python programming language also has been created during this era itself. So what is the year? If you ask me, maybe I would like to tell it as in the 1989 it has been released. Maybe officially in the 1990, but the first launch that happens to be in the 1989. Uh, Let me reduce the font size. Okay, and let me keep it here. And today, if you want to go with the field of machine learning, artificial intelligence, data science, the Python is the language that you should be learning. In the ranking of the programming language, if you check, now C programming language is in the first place. If not, the Java was in the first place and C was in the second place. But in the third place, you have this Python programming language. If you want to listen to the history of Python programming language, how the fellow Guido van Rossum has created this programming language, what made him to create this programming language, and all the features with respect to the Python language. Already the video is present in the YouTube. Do watch it once. And the demo classes for the Python also it's going on, because we have started this Java course as well as the Python course together on the September 7th of this 2020. Maybe for the 5 days we are going to give the demo. After that, it will be a paid classes. And what is the fees, and what is the course duration, everything. If you're going to register, you will be getting the brochure, and what are the topics we are going to teach in the class, everything in detail you are going to get it in the brochure. So Python classes, the initial classes, you can attend by seeing the YouTube videos. Any which ways, the Python, if I want to speak, so again it will take so much of time for me. The vastness of the Python is growing every day, day by day it's growing like anything. But still, let me continue with our discussion, because we are in the history of the programming languages. Not only this Python programming language, in the same junction, somewhere in the year, I cannot tell the exact year for this. It's somewhere around the 1990s. So in the 1990s, what happened? So something came to the market. So what is that? If you ask me, it is nothing but the internet is what came to the market. When internet came to the market, the global scenario has been changed. What do you mean by this platform dependent? Why we cannot use this platform dependent? What is the disadvantage of using platform dependent? If you ask me, the simple correlation for today's class, what I can tell is, if you use the platform dependent programming language, you cannot create the web based application. And again, what do you mean by web based application? Go and watch my Java day one video. You'll be understanding what exactly the web based application is all about. Any which ways, when internet came into the market, people want such a programming language which should be uh, platform independent. Not only that, the language should be object orientation. These are the two features that the people were expecting. Before going to our actual hero, let us go and see some of the images. So Janice Trustrup is done, and this is the logo and the name of the programming language which has been released in 1989 by the Guido van Rossum. That happens to be the Python programming language. Why he has kept the symbol as snake. So all those things, if you want to know, then you can watch the history of the Python programming language in our channel. And not only that, maybe I'll come to this fellow later. So let me quickly get back to our screen. Okay. Now the next programming language, which was uh, to come into the market with having two intention. One happens to be the platform independent and along with the object orientation. The programming language, if I want to speak before that, let me tell few things about this language. Let me consider this language, but I'll be typing it in a later stage. So I will take a general text and I'll be telling few points here. The first time, one company called as Sun Microsystem. I would try to write it here. So this is called as Sun Micro System. Was created the 11 members team. So in that 11 members team, three prominent members were there. I would like to show their photos and I would like to explain. So let me go back to the screen now. So let me show you the logo of this company. This is the Sun Microsystem. Sun Microsystem is a company which called for a 11-member team, and this is that 11-member team. Now, don't sit and count. Is that exactly 11 members or extra players or also will be there? So this is that team. In this team, I think already you are identifying one person. So who is this person? All those things in next couple of minutes I'll be speaking. But in this team, there are three prominent members. One happens to be the Patrick Naughton and Mike Sheridan and James Gosling. I think the last fellow, everyone knows him. Who is this James Gosling? These three people, working efficiently in the team. The entire team was working efficiently. Not only that, these three people, but they have contributed more. So they have kept one name for this team. So Sun Microsystem has called for the 11 members team, and the team name happens to be the Green Team. So they got a brand new project which happens to be Green Talk. So what is the project is all about is smarting the electronic devices. What do you mean by that? As I told, by 1990s itself, so internet came into the market. When internet came into the market, what was the idea of this Sun Microsystem is all about? Let us make our devices smart. In other words, let us make the TV as smart. The TV should be having internet connection, or the remote should be having internet connection. Camera should be having internet connection. That was the idea about this Sun Microsystem, and they also got the project with respect to that. They were working on this, but unfortunately, the programming languages they created at that point of time, internet, whatever the internet that we are using today, it is not the same type of internet that was present in the early 1990s. So there was mismatch with respect to internet things and the devices and all those things will be there. So knowingly or unknowingly, they created a brand new programming language itself. Not only that, they created, for the first time they created the hot browser Java. This is what they have created, hot browser Java. So this is the browser that they have created, and it was booming in the market, and everyone used to ask which programming language it has been used, which programming language it has been used. And immediately people were Java is not the initial name that they have decided. There are so many names that they have decided. Initially, they tried to give the so many different types of names, uh, because it is object oriented language, and it is also a platform independent language. Name they should be giving now. So first, they decided to give their team name itself, that as a green team. So after that, it has been changed to oak. Oak is the tree which is available in the foreign countries. So let me show you that as well. So they have decided like to keep the name of this tree, so which happens to be the oak tree. So but later, somehow the oak also didn't suit for this language. So later, from the oak, they have changed to the silk. And finally, they came up with a name called as Java. So Java is a highland present near the Indonesia. So that's why they have taken this name called as Java, and they have decided to call this programming language as Java itself. So this is all about the naming of the programming language. I need not to tell about which language I'm speaking now. So it is nothing but our Java programming language. So this is Java, and the head of the team happens to be the James Gosling. So James Gosling is called as the father of programming. I mean to say, father of the Java language. And after seeing all these things, first time in the history. So on 1996, in the 1996 Jan, they have released the first version of JDK 1.0, the toolkit which is required in order to use the Java language. I can tell it as from then onwards, they have released 14 versions till date. Let us quickly look at the versions of Java now. Maybe this is the one, maybe this is the versions that are available. Let me give a close view. On Jan 23, 1996, the JDK 1.0 has been released. After that, till the 2020, it is the 14th version of Java. So what is this Java 2 SE? What is this Java SE? If you have this kind of doubt, again, I'm recommend to watch my first video. So in that, I've spoken about the types of Java: Java standalone edition, Java enterprise edition, mobile edition. What is that? All those things I've discussed there. So let me get back to my screen. Now observe. So when in the beginning, the James Gosling made a very good thing, that he made his programming language as open source. This is one of the reason why Java programming language boomed like anything and got a very prominence in the market, and even today it is standing in the top position. Sir, what do you mean by this open source? Open source means any company will be not having any holding on this particular language. Any freelancer, any programmer, any developer, if he get any new ideas, so he can give his idea to this Java programming language, and they are accepting that ideas. And depending on the developers and the freelancers contribution, Java has been grown with the features like anything. A huge amount of features has been added to the Java. Initially, it was a programming language as normal like other programming languages only. Only object orientation and platform independence were there. But when the freelancers and the developers were keep giving the features for this language, so what happened, the programming language be enriched with the features. So after this, what happened, in the 2010, when it was in very top position in the 2010. So the company called as Oracle, a few people also call it as Oracle. So Oracle company has acquired this Java programming language. It is no more open source now. So this is Oracle company. I think that was your seen in the image. So this is that Oracle company. Let me show you this. It's not taking. So let me get back to the screen. Something went wrong. So this is the company, the Oracle Corporation. So they acquired this language. Only the developers who are working in this company can contribute for this particular Java language. One thing I want to tell you here. So when they released the enterprise edition, so it was going fine, but in the 2020, so when they want few updates with respect to the Java Enterprise Edition, it was not possible with the limited brains. In the Oracle Corporation, maybe the top-notch developers will be there, but still, with respect to this part, which is very important for our Enterprise Edition, so all the banking application, all those things will be using the Java. Maybe I would like to like it in the next line, the Java EE, that is Enterprise Edition, so there is a shortage of ideas. So again, what this Oracle company is thinking all about, let us go back to our old procedure, so making it as a open source. So directly they cannot make it as a open source. They got a new idea that about this Eclipse company, right? So Eclipse company has been taken the complete features of the Java EE, and they named it as Jakarta Jakarta Enterprise Edition. So all the features that are available in the Java Enterprise Edition, now it is available in the Jakarta EE, whereas Jakarta EE happens to be the open source now. So again, the people is going to contribute for the Jakarta EE, and it is going to boom in the upcoming days. So let us get back to the images. If you see, you will remember more. This is the version, and this is the Eclipse company who has taken the Java Enterprise Edition with respect to the new Jakarta EE, and this was the Jakarta EE logo. So why this name Jakarta? If you want to know that, let me share you the screen. Let me go to the internet, and I would like to tell it as Jakarta Island. So you can see here now. So top 10 island. Let me take you the Java island itself. The Java island is there here. So I can see here if this is the Java island, East Java is there, Bali is there, Sumatra. So near the Indonesia, this Java island is there. In this, the prominent capital happens to be the Jakarta, the biggest city. So if I want to give the correlation, I can tell like this. So if I come back to my screen, and if I share, so when it comes to the types of Java also, so Java standalone edition is there, Java Enterprise Edition is there, Java Mobile Edition is there, but still Java Enterprise Edition happens to be the most prominent thing of the Java. So that is the reason they are correlated with the capital of the Java island, and they are given the name as Jakarta. Any which ways, all these things are like general knowledge. All these things are like general knowledge. In the interview, the company people will not ask you which was the programming language that has been released exactly in the 1969. They are not going to ask. But when you started to study something, if you know the background history of that, so you will get the interest to learn the things in a right way. If you don't understand the history, why the language has been created, then you will not appreciate the things, whatever the features they are going to give. And today we are having the Java 14, but still in my course I'll be using the Java 8. Not only me, majority of the people will be using the Java 8 itself, and majority of the company even today they are using this Java 8 itself, because the features that are available in the Java 8. So anyways, I want to give the heading for this. Let me give a proper heading. Maybe I would like to give it as the history of programming language. So this is all about the history of the programming language from 1951 till the 1995. I have forgotten to give the year. So it was launched in 1995, and the JDK has been released in the Jan 96, but officially it was announced in the 1995 May month actually. So it was in the 1995 is all about. And let me quickly give this also. So in the flow I have missed the year to give C++ in the 1980. And I can tell the internet era happens to be so in the 1990s. So I think that's all. uh, Let me quickly recap the things. The regional language was there, regional assembly level language was there, assembler is what you're supposed to use, and the Fortran, the first ever compiled high level programming language. Then the BCPL, hello world is what you can remember, and Ken Thompson B language, you can remember there's no data type. Dennis Ritchie C programming language, speed of execution, data type is supported for the first time, structured programming language, all those things you can remember. These two things you have to remember: no data security, no code reusability. How to achieve these two things is what I'll be explaining in Java, how Java supported these two things. And the query language, if you are interested in the database and DBMS, all those things, you can go for this. And in the 1980, the C++. So even today, few people will use the C++. It is still in the place, and these are the things you can learn. So all the encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance, you'll be learning in the Java itself. So what is this platform dependent and platform independent? I'll be teaching you in the upcoming classes, see with respect to Java. And Python, if you want to craze enough with respect to the Python, you can attend the Python classes as well in the study online. And let me come to the Java course, which is done by me. And Sun Microsystem, you know that Green Team, Green Talk was a project, Art Browser Java, and it was an object-oriented programming language, platform independent. Names, the JDK and the versions, and each versions they are given a different name. That's also a little bit crazy. If I get the time in the upcoming classes, I'll show that as well. It is a open source, and in the from 2010, Oracle company has taken this. Now the Java Enterprise Edition has been changed. That means it has been taken from the Eclipse, and they have named it as Jakarta E, and again it has become the open source. So this is the brief history of the programming language. Quick recap. Today we have studied what do you mean by assembler, what do you mean by a compiler, what do you mean by a machine level language, what is actually the compiler does, and what exactly the assembler is going to do. And after that, this is the history of programming language. And in my upcoming classes also, many interesting topics like this I'll be doing. And if you're thinking that the day one itself, if you're expecting to me write the hello world program, I can start with that. But let me finish it off all this basic things that is required. So once it is done, and once the program is going to start, from then onwards it is only programming. So again, I would like to tell, this Monday, that is September 7th, 2020, the batch has been started both for Java as well as Python. And if you're interested in the both the languages, you can take up. And if you're interested in Java, you can take Java. If you're interested only in Python, you can take up Python. No issues in that. But if you take up the Java course, the classes will be held exactly evening 4 p.m. Live class is what I'm going to take. And after which, regarding the fee structure, all those things, you can contact the study online. Before ending the session, what I can tell here is, anything that you want to learn in the life, learn it with a passion. Don't learn it for a pressure. That is what I can tell. Yeah, in the pressure, many people will learn, but the things that you learn in the pressure will not stick into your mind. The things that you learn with the passion is what going to stay with you for the longer period. By telling this, I am concluding this session. Thank you so much for watching the video till the end. I hope you'll be attending the upcoming classes, and do support the study online. Thank you. Bye.